in a position where I'm in a valid position to give what's called a public service announcement. So this public service announcement is for the greater good of the public. So I do not want anybody else to be affected by what I've been affected by. Now, as the Hangout goes on, we'll get more into that, and we'll probably take a question and answer session, towards the end, about 10, 15 minutes. So I'm going to try and condense this into an hour. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to this and a brief history of what happened to me. This is my own subjective experience, and it actually also the experience of many. How you can avoid this, and how you can basically do things you could do it, how you could be pre-warned and have advice so you maybe help you to make better choices, basically, yeah? So to start off with, so I'm actually a teacher. I have a teaching diploma qualification, which I gained from Cambridge. It's a Cambridge qualification. I didn't necessarily study it at Cambridge University, but it's a Cambridge diploma, and it's a Cambridge certificate in teaching adults, basically. Yeah. So I've had a very, how can you say? I've had a very different life, or unorthodox life to many, basically. Because I set out when I was young, after finishing school, after studying my education, go to college, etc. After my education period had finished, I decided, after also working, and then I went into work, etc. But after a period of work and whatever, I actually decided to go traveling, as many youngsters do, and many students do these days, especially to take a gap year out, or what they do after they studied, basically. So either in the middle of it, before, middle, or after the university, they do a year before and then come back and do their degree, or in the middle they take a year off, maybe do program in another university, another country, etc. And then they go, or after they finish the degree, and then they go and do a year's travel and then start work, etc. So I finished studying, and then I worked for a number of years, quite young. I was in my 20s. And then I got the opportunity to go to Australia, which was, on my travels, I decided to go and have it, because I got a working holiday visa at that point. I think they still do that for under 30s. If anybody's watching from Australia, beautiful country, beautiful climate, wonderful people, nothing to complain about there. Yeah. So I did visit when I was in Australia. I did have the opportunity to visit quite, some nice places. They're beautiful country, and I understand why people live there. You've got the climate, and you've got, certainly the coastlines, and then you've got, the history, and then the Aboriginal culture, and wonderful. And then I haven't been to New Zealand, but I hear that's also a beautiful country with spectacular landscapes. Anybody from New Zealand's watching, I'm sure you have a beautiful country as well. Like most countries are beautiful. Most countries, and the people in the countries are beautiful. You get a mixture of people, and most cultures, and the people in the country very friendly. I never had anything to complain about when I was in Australia, and it was a really enhancing experience. I would recommend it to anybody, especially after finishing your studies and going there. But when I was in Australia and I was coming towards the end of living there, I heard about an opportunity to go and teach English, actually, in other countries. So I heard about this opportunity to go and teach in Hong Kong. So I researched this, I had a look at it, and in those days, I'm talking about basically in the 1990s. So I actually had the opportunity to go and live in Hong Kong and experience their culture. And I was quite interested in Chinese culture at that point as well, and still am. Again, lovely place, a very high, intense place, because it's a small area of land. And back in those days, it was pre-97. So it was basically British. So it was like living in England, but in another part of the world. And if you've ever experienced a British lifestyle in another part of the world, like, for example, in the Caribbean or other places, it's quite unique, because you can have the home comforts or the home things that you like from home. And then you can also have the side of it, which is the local culture, which is wonderful, and there are many places to do that as well. So when I was in Hong Kong, I worked there as a teacher. I was teaching young adults, and also teaching business corporate English. And then I had the opportunity after, working there and living there, because as a British you can live there basically. In those days, this was pre-97, so things may have changed there now, so I can't give you any information on that. Pre-97, you could live there and quite fine because it was a British, protectorate, basically. Yeah? So it was quite an interesting experience, and you get all the comforts there. I mean, you get, there's pubs there, and you get all the food that you normally enjoy, at home and everything. So it's a nice place. And then the Chinese culture is very rich, and the food is fantastic. So. And then, so I was there for a while, and I'm not going too much into specifics, but then I got the opportunity in the 90s to go to China. And then I met up, I actually, in those days, it was a closed country, basically, and it was very different to as it is now, because now it's become more modernized, more capitalist, etc. And it was a fantastic experience. Fantastic. I wouldn't have missed it, for the world, basically, And going to these small little Chinese villages that were like 200 years ago. And then going to these ancient places like Kunming, and these ancient minority cultures who also knew that the earth is flat, by the way. That's part of the understanding I got when I was traveling there. So, and then we're talking about ancient cultures now, So, and then I went up to a place called Lijiang and, met a herbal medicine doctor there. And it was fascinating stuff. So I got to travel all over the country, very cheap in those days, very, very cheap, yeah. So then after my travels in China, I decided to come back to Hong Kong, did a bit more teaching. Again, it's a lot easier. I don't know if you've got questions about Vietnam, I really can't answer your questions about that. It's all online, go on, because we're talking pre-97. So I don't know how the situation now, and I'm talking about pre-97 basically, yeah. So, so basically I did my travels there, and I got into traveling. So I was quite interested in traveling. And then after that, back in the UK and everything. And then I'm not going too much into specifics, but later on, I got the opportunity to go and teach abroad again. So I decided to go and teach, and I thought it would be the same as Hong Kong, or something similar, go and teach in young adults, etc. So I decided to go to Japan. And yes, Japan. Have you heard that right? Japan. Yeah. Now, a lot of people have been to Japan. They've had good experiences. Other people have been, and etc. Other experiences, basically. Yeah. So Japan is a country like no other. Japan is a very isolated country, and they have a very strict code of lifestyle there. Yeah. And they are, let's say, they're not as multicultural as Western countries are. So as a foreigner going into Japan, you're viewed as an outsider to start us off, basically, yeah? Now, I'm going to touch on this. I'm going to touch on some of my experience, but I'm also going to touch on cultural experiences. Supposedly, Japan is supposed to be a safe country, low rate of crime, etc., and low incidences of certain kinds of crimes. Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, but Japan has a system in place that is, how can I say that? It's one thing viewing from an outside point of view, but actually when you live there, you get another experience. Now, everything I'm about to say here is only advice I'm giving to people. And I'm not pointing out a certain country because countries are different, but I'm giving you advice. If you're a student and you're going to China or to Hong Kong or to any of these countries that you can teach English in for a year or so, I'm saying now quite clearly quite clearly now, please do your research before going to these countries, because they do not have the norms of Western countries. They do not have the laws of Western countries. They do not have the same system in place if you get into trouble there. They do not have the same system in place as England does. And we have a very fine judicial system here, and it's well world renowned as people in America do, yeah? Now, what I'm saying to you, not necessarily what you get in your country, doesn't matter where you are, whether it's the UK or Sweden or Norway or Portugal or Spain. Things are very different in other countries. And I had the experience. So what I'm putting out here is a word of warning to everyone that is considering going to teach English in another country or work in another country, especially young students, because I have experienced something that you might not have even thought you could come across, or something that you may never in a million years you would have come across, basically. Yeah. So you think that you're, going there for a great time. Many people do. The vast majority of people going to these countries have a great time. But what I'm saying, I'm saying a clear message out to people that are considering, especially young students in your 20s, when you don't know, or you've never been abroad before, or you've only been to a limited area, countries or whatever. Yeah. I'm talking about people who are just venturing out at a young age. Yeah. Might be slightly different for seasoned travelers or elder people who've been around the block a bit. Yeah. So I'm going to put this on camera here, and I'm glad that Oksana's given me the facility to do this. Yeah. So I thought I was going to teach English there. I did end up teaching English there, and I was teaching at high schools, and I was teaching at junior high schools, we call them here, primary schools. Yeah. So, first grade right through. Yeah. And then I was teaching adults. So I was teaching adult classes and also business classes, so corporate to the big corporations there. Yeah. Now, what's that? Yeah, sorry. So what I'm about to, the word of warning that I want to give you is that just be very, 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 I want to make this really clear, very careful what you do in these countries, because your government cannot get you out of anything. Once you're in that country, it's local laws, and your government will not protect you. They give you advice, but they will not protect you. They're not there. They will not. They will give you advice, certain advice, etc. Yeah, but they will not be there to protect you. Even if you've done nothing illegal, they will not protect you. It's all local laws, as those countries are. All it goes on specific local laws. Mm-hmm. So they can give you advice, and they did give me some advice as well. But it didn't prevent what happened to me happening, and it's happened to many, many others. It's not just me I'm talking about here. It's happened to many, many British men, American men, Australian men. There seems to be a pattern here. Yeah, it seems to be a very definitive pattern. Yeah, the same pattern, because I've researched this a lot, and it's happened over a number of years. Mm-hmm. I've researched this a lot. It seems to be a pattern. Yeah, so, and it's happening to women as well. I also came across women in Japan while I was there. The same thing happened in reverse. Yeah. So here's the crunch. I've got 3 children in Japan. I have 3 children in Japan that I haven't seen since 2009. I'm putting this online because people need to understand what's happening. Yeah. It's taken me a while for this to come to this, but now I've come to the conclusion that the person that I married in Japan, her family had huge debts, massive debts that I didn't know about. Massive debts. And I'm not going into who those debts were to, but you can make your own imaginings who those do. And we're not talking about banks, maybe to banks, but maybe to unorthodox. Mm-hmm. Unorthodox. Mm-hmm. You can imagine what I'm talking about here. They had huge debts. The person that I married me to get her family out of huge debts, and used me, but not only used me because I'm an adult, obviously, but used my children to get them out of huge debts. My children now don't belong to my wife. They don't belong to me. My children now belong to organizations. I'm not going to name the name because you can imagine who these organizations are. Can you imagine who these organizations are? My children, in my opinion, they may still be with my wife. I haven't seen them. From one day to the next, I haven't seen my children. Now, in Japan, and this is the word of warning to anybody that's going to the Olympic Games in 2020 or thinking about going to the Rugby World Cup next year in 2019 and is going with children, your children can be taken away from you like that. And the Japanese police will not do anything. The Japanese courts will not do anything. The Japanese government will not do anything. And your government will not do anything. Children have been taken from America into Japan, and they were American citizens. And those children are now in Japan, and there's not one child, there's hundreds, have not been returned to. And everything I'm saying here, you can research. This is not something I'm wild off my head to get views or whatever. I'm not concerned about that. I'm just stating the facts. I'm very grateful to Roxanne for letting me have this forum, and it's on my channel as well. Because in Japan, they have a system when two parents go through a divorce, they have sole custody, only one parent. So you can imagine what goes on. Huge fighting between you know, in the UK and America, if a couple get divorced, the couple have joint custody, so the father can still see, the mother can see if the father has the custody. So it's mutual. But in Japan, which is an ancient system, the children, their parents, according to their laws, and this is not only with foreigners, this is with all Japanese people that go through divorce, there are tens of thousands of Japanese men and women who do not get to see their children because one of the parents has actually taken the child. So what I'm saying to anybody who's thinking about going to the Olympics, and you can don't take my word for it, research this, because there are hundreds of sites on YouTube documenting this. There's hundreds of charities in Japan. There's hundreds of documents been made about this. Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is, and a word of warning, I do not want anybody to go to Japan. It could also happen in Korea. It could also happen in China. I don't know the laws there. I'm only familiar with Japan because I spent many, many years going through the laws and going through and researching this, as many people have done. From in November 2009, my wife decided, right, that's it. Boom. She took the kids. From that day, I haven't seen my 3 children. So my wife actually, because of her family, now I've actually come to the conclusion that my wife's family, ex-wife's family, had huge debts to an organization. I'll let you imagine who those organizations might be. So she took my children to pay off those debts. So my children now belong to that organization. My children, I'm the father, she's the mother. She wasn't concerned. I think in the long run, she was only trying to get her family out of debt. So, I mean, how that anybody can do that to somebody else, I couldn't imagine. I would never do that to somebody else. But I'm not the only one. There's thousands of men now and thousands of women. I had a friend at the same time I was going through divorce. She was a woman. She had a child, a boy, and her husband would not let her see her own child. This is a woman. A man would not let a woman see her own child. Can you imagine the mental gymnastics you have to go through to do that to someone? That's incredible. So anything, yeah, you okay? Yeah. Anything I'm telling you right now, I'm putting this out there public. This is again, I'm not pointing at any countries. I'm not, because every country has value. I'm not pointing at any people, because I had some really good experiences in Japan. I had some really good experiences in other countries as well. So it's not, I'm not slanting any country. I'm just putting it out there. Every country has a positive and negative. I'm only outlining what happened to me as a public service announcement for anybody else that's thinking about going out there, especially if you have children. If you have children and you're thinking about going to the Olympic Games in 2020, or you're thinking that you're going to the Rugby World Cup next year, please do your research. Please do your research. I'm just putting a warning out there for any British citizen, because I'm British, any British citizen, any family that has children and is contemplating going to that country, because the laws of that country cannot protect your children should something happen to them. Hopefully nothing would happen, but should something happen, also, if you are contemplating going there and getting married, please look into the marriage system there and the divorce system, because under Japanese law, sole custody. So of course, people are going to take advantage of this. But as foreigners, we're not familiar. I never studied Japanese law. I never studied British. I've done it informally, but why would a person never study? Why would a person study Japanese law when you're not living there? But having gone to there, now I understand their system. Yeah, I fully understand their system. Now, in my opinion, this is only my personal opinion. I don't want anybody to take this, personally, whatever. In my opinion, some groups, some nefarious people, even foreigners that are setting themselves up in Japan as agents to kidnap these children Yes, I'm going to name a name here. Luke Sierra. Shame on you. Shame on you. You came to me like a friend. And you were in the background there, organizing kidnapping of children. Yeah, is it okay?
Yeah, carry on, carry on. Yep.
And I'm going to name another one on you. Dion Pretorius, my brother-in-law. Shame on you. Shame on you for organizing with Luke Sierra. How much did you get? £30,000, I heard. £30,000 for 3 children. Didn't come from me. Where did that money come from? Arranged marriage? Because it was an arranged marriage, wasn't it? £30,000. Now, who's going to pay that money back? I can't. I won't. My children will have to pay that back. It's called indentured slavery. Yeah? Debt slavery. That's what we have laws in this country. We have laws against this. And this is something I may do another hanger. All these, trafficking, human trafficking, I'm against this. And I will stand up for this. And I will put videos out for this because it's affected me personally. Right. But Luke Sierra, you, who was befriending me when I first arrived there, after arriving there, pretending to be a friend. Meanwhile, you're organizing deals. And how much are you getting paid every month? Is that your job? The Japanese police, if you're watching this, he's living there. He lives in Fukuoka, in the southwest of Japan. Luke Sierra, Searra. Child trafficking from South Africa. Child trafficking from South Africa. Human slavery. Marriage trafficking from South Africa. South Africa economy has gone down the tubes. People are starving in South Africa, so they'll do anything. I understand why you're doing it. But Japanese police, FBI, CIA, Interpol, you know where he is. He's all over Facebook. He's all over YouTube. Luke Sierra, Lukesearra. And just because you're a jiu-jitsu champion doesn't mean that you can take advantage of people. Yeah, just because you're some kind of jiu-jitsu guy doesn't mean you can take advantage of people. And I know you had the keys to my apartment. How did you get those? From the rental agency. What were you doing coming into my apartment every night? This is serious stuff. Japan, you need to look into this. Child trafficking on a mass scale. Yeah. Luke Sierra, Japanese police, please check this guy out because I'm putting it out there, and I have to because I've done my research and I know what's going on. It's taken me a while. It's taken me many years. And to my children, if they ever get to watch this, I love you. Stacy, Rihanna Leah, Lana Ashley, I love you dearly. And I couldn't help what happened to me. Sorry.
No worries.
Because it was all against me. It was all against me. Yeah, it was all against me. I tried for 6 years to get access to you. The first year, mediation, they were never going to let me see you. Because in Japan, once the sole parent makes a decision, she doesn't want to let the other parent see them. It's cruel. It's barbaric. It's like something from the Dark Ages. This is crazy. How can this happen in the modern day we live in? For 1 year, I tried a mediation. I said, I'll pay everything. I won't deny this. I was on a very good wage in Japan. I was on a very good wage. I was working for the top school, and I offered to pay even during mediation, I offered to pay everything for my wife. A brand new flat, to give her a regular income every month, to pay for all my child costs, everything. And she still didn't accept. Why? Did she get a better offer? Was somebody funding from behind the scenes? What's going to happen to my children? So then I went a year through mediation, a year and a half actually, and then one day I went to court, and it was all decided in one hearing. 2012, Luke Sierra, remember that? What were you doing coming into my apartment every day? Comes back, karma is a real bad thing, eh? Karma is a real bad thing. And you were involved in getting me losing my job at one of those top schools. You were involved in that. Yeah, karma is a bad thing. And I'm going to let the world know. How's your brother? Is he still in prison in America? Yeah? I'm going to let the world know because you took my children from me. Your brother, what are you doing from South Africa to Japan? What business do you do? Why is your brother in America? I'll let the FBI look into that. They know all about this. Yeah? And I have to put this out there because this is my children and because I love them. And 2012, you're coming into my apartment. I know what it's about. And you arranged a trip to Dubai. Japanese police, look into this. What's going from Japan to Dubai? And how was it done? I'm going to tell you how it was done now. I'm going to give the secret away. Yeah? Just going to get too soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone that's putting into
This
the
is a very
chat room.
yeah.
I'm just putting this on charge. Carry on, Dave.
I brought with me today. If you look on Google and you Google Japan and masks, and I've still got some. And this is what that is the face of Japan society. Now, some people have a cold. I can understand that. They don't want to spread that. People don't wear masks in the UK. We don't wear masks in America mostly because it's got another meaning. And I brought this today to do a demonstration. Yeah. What are the Japanese people afraid of? Why do they wear masks all the time? Even when they're talking to people, they wear masks. And you can Google this. Is anybody in the Hangout or anybody on YouTube, you can Google this. Google Japan and masks, and you'll see half of the population of Japan is wearing masks. And what are they hiding? Now, I'm going to tell you. And you can research this for yourself. Media, YouTube. There's a substance that is not known by the society in general, but the CIA know about it, and the FBI know about it. And for some uncanny reason, I got to find out about it. And you can Google this. It's a substance that grows naturally in Colombia. It's a natural product. It's not a so-called, processed drug or anything like that. It's a natural product. Now, there are organizations in this world that are using this for ulterior motives, human trafficking, slavery, including children. Scopolamine. SCOPALAMINE. Research it. What this does, what this basically does, it actually comes in a powder form, and people throw it or put it in a drink or throw it basically. And not many people know about this, but I'm going to give it away basically. Yeah, this is used to take advantage of people. What it does, it knocks people out, but they're still awake. They're still awake, but their consciousness goes into another mode, let's say. Yeah. So they use it in Colombia to do, crimes, taking people to the ATM and get them to withdraw their money, or ransacking their apartment. They don't know anything about it but they're still awake. They're still wide awake, basically. Now I'm going to put it to anybody. Why are Japanese people, half the population, like this? This has got to change, guys. You can't live in fear in Japan anymore. Why would you live your life like this? And I'm talking, for Japanese people's sake, because there's a lot of people there that don't have a voice as well. And research it. I'm not saying it's all, but I need to put this out online because people don't need to know about it. Vice did a big thing about 2 years ago on it. That's why I found out about it. But it's used to make you do things that you don't want to do. Yeah? Luke Sierra, clever guy, eh? But karma's a bad thing. Karma's a bad thing, man. Because the police need to check you out. Why are you in Japan? You don't have a job. You're just doing this with weights every day. And how does a guy doing this all day, where does he get his money from? The South African government. I'm a South African citizen as well, from when I was young. Yeah. My sister is in South Africa right now. Her brother-in-law, the guy I just mentioned. So the South African government needs to look into this as well. I haven't seen my kids for 9 years. 9 years. And my eldest daughter, yeah, is 11. Middle daughter is 10. My youngest daughter is 9, basically. I don't even know where they are. I mean, I could imagine they're still in that same place. Now, you must ask, okay, why am I back in the UK? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because I didn't get anywhere in Japan. I tried for 5 years with the legal system there. As a foreigner, you don't have a voice. You don't have a voice. And as soon as they cut you out, boom, you don't, it's almost like you are, part of the society there. They'll use you and spit you out like that. That's what they did to me. Because when my divorce was going through, I was blacklisted. Couldn't get a job there. Couldn't get a job. No matter how many jobs I tried to get. Yeah, that was it. This is how society works, guys. Yeah. And I'm an older guy now. I don't mind speaking about this. You can do whatever you want to me. I don't care. I'm speaking out now for my children and for myself. I don't care what are you going to do to me? You can take this body. I don't care. We're not the body. What are you going to do? You think this is it? No. So, but guys, karma's a bad thing, guys. Karma's a bad thing. I'm talking about you, Luke Sierra, and you know exactly who you are. And I would suggest to any airline company that Luke Sierra tries to get onto, check his baggage. Check his baggage. Any airline that he's involved with, and any government that any country that he's coming into. Luke Sierra, he's about 30 something, 38 now, ginger hair. Yeah, but Luke Sierra, I don't know, you got friends, okay, no problem. You got brothers. Yeah, and Dion Pretorius, you work for the Mediterranean Shipping Company, don't you? I'm just putting it out there, man. I'm not making any allegations, slander, whatever. But I know you took money. You're a bodybuilder, right? Bodybuilder needs steroids. Yeah, steroids. Make it big. Just like they do to the animals, yeah? How much did you get? I know you got 30,000 for an arranged marriage. And you knew that I was going to go back there and teach. So you arranged an arranged marriage. And as soon as I landed in the country, I didn't know. I mean, I thought she was a lovely, lovely person, but only later I found out her family has huge debts. You arranged that. Is everything? You've got kids. Are your kids for sale? How much? How much? Because my kids are priceless. And any adult will tell you that. So I'm saying to anybody who's going to Japan or think about going to Japan in 2020 to the Olympic Games, sorry, Japan. I had some good times there, but I have to, as a public service announcement, I have to tell people. I have to put it out there. I'm sorry. Because I can't be silent anymore. Yeah. And to anybody who's thinking or contemplating to go there and work, think twice. Think twice. Because if you cross the line there, it doesn't have to be breaking the law, but if you cross the cultural line as a foreigner, you don't have a leg to stand on. Not one leg. Not one leg. And it doesn't matter where you come from, Italy, Spain, South America, doesn't matter. You're a foreigner in their eyes. And I'm sorry to do this to you, Japan, because I did at some point, I lived there and I gave a lot. Oh, when you go there and you think you're working, it's going to be all good times. It ain't. It's just like farming there. They farm you for profit. You go to an English school there, they'll get maximum profit out of you. And you'll get burnt out within 6 months. I had to take rest between jobs there because you just get burnt out. Because they just, they'll have students lining up at the door, paying students. So be careful. I'm talking to the young guys now. I'm talking to the young people, young age. Any youngsters that just finishing university, college, research. And I certainly wouldn't advise going to Japan. That's all I can tell about it. I don't know about other countries like China. I say I had a good time in Hong Kong, had a good time in China, mainland China. So I don't know. I can't say. about those. I don't know about the laws of those countries. I'm not a lawyer, but I do understand British law. Yeah. But think twice. All the students who want to go and teach English there, they'll use you maximum. They'll get the maximum profit out of you, just like a cow. Yeah. And they'll play you psychologically and mentally to get that profit. Yeah. But I'm advising all the people who think about going to the Olympic Games. I'm sorry to the Olympic Committee as well. I have to put this out there, because if your child was trafficked, if your child was in danger, you'd do the same. Yeah. You would do exactly the same as I'm doing. Exactly the same. So also all those adults with children who are, as an adult, you take your chances when you go there. You take your chance. You take your chance, because if you cross the cultural line there, if you say the wrong word or do the wrong thing that they don't like, yeah, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to shut you down or to lock you up or whatever. And it doesn't have to be political or anything like that, just cultural. And how can you be? I mean, you're not from there. You're not. You know what they do when you go to Japan? They try to make you Japanese, like putting a square peg in a round hole. It can't be done. It's impossible. I'm British. I grew up in England. How can you go there and then overnight become Japanese?
It's impossible. It's
impossible. And to all my friends that may still be in Japan, konnichiwa, konbanwa, genki desu ka? Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Yeah? It was a pleasure knowing you. So I'm verifying that. I do speak Japanese. Yeah?
Lovely.
So, and what I'm saying to everybody who's considering or contemplating going to the Rugby World Cup next year, or more importantly, to the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2020, especially if you're an adult with children, can be taken away. And if there's any media companies in the UK or any news agencies in the UK that want to do an interview with me, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to give you an interview and give you all the details. All the details. My email is on my Instagram email button. Just click the link, and I'm more than happy to do any of the interviews with anyone. Now that's gone public, I will do an interview with anyone. Yeah? Anyone, because I'll tell you what happened to me. So I was blacklisted in Japan. Couldn't get a job. When you're blacklisted by organizations, I'm not naming names, but you can understand these are non-government organizations. Once you're blacklisted, you're completely blacklisted. You can't work, therefore you cannot get money. Therefore I was isolated there for 3 years. It took me years to get out of that place. I still had a certain amount of money. I had a house in Japan. Legally, I bought a house there. And we all know what happened there, didn't we? I can go into that another hangout, another. If you want to interview me, anybody who's in the media who wants to interview me about owning property in Japan and getting it taken away from you, I'm more than happy to give you an interview. Yeah, more than happy to give you an interview. So I was blacklisted, couldn't get a job there, and because I wanted to stay for my kids, I stayed there as long as I could. But eventually the money runs out, and I end up the main reason I came back to the UK was to get legal advice. I thought things could be done from this side. I may have a chance of getting a lawyer and doing. You know what they said to me as soon as I arrived in the UK? I even mentioned to the police. They didn't do anything. But I went to a lawyer. They said, "Sorry, it's Japan, another territory, can't do anything." And actually, they didn't do that. The first lawyer I went to, that was the third lawyer. To another law firm. Then that law firm palmed me up to another law firm, and then they just said, "Sorry, we can't do anything." So I had my kids taken off me. Can you see how easy it is to traffic children now because of international laws? And the Hague Conventions, which Japan signed in the 2013, 2014, I'll have to check that, 2013. That is only after it's been signed, and it's only for American children or children coming in from another country. It doesn't affect children in Japan. It doesn't affect children of Japanese parents. So here's my estimate. Number of marriages in Japan, international marriages in the last 10, 15 years, 500,000. Number of children, 500,000 to 1 million, sorry. Number of children born out of those marriages, 1.5, 2 million. Statistics, 50% of all marriages end in divorce in Japan, international marriages.
Wow.
So there's a million kids, 1 million, and they're voiceless. But I've taken the courage. I'll give them a voice, because I'll tell you what happened to me. There's many injustices in this world, but some people don't have a voice, but I do. And I'm taking this opportunity as a public service announcement. I'm taking this opportunity to put it out there, to give this public service, because it's happened to me. How would you like your kids to be taken away from you, never see them again? 8 years, 9 years, just like that overnight. Boom. In fact, I never wanted to get married. I wanted to start a family when I was there, but it just happened. So unfortunately, but now I understand that it was all arranged. So these countries that have arranged marriages, not necessarily your parents that are arranging the marriage, could be business people, could be.
Do you think this happens a lot more than that to you?
When I was there, the same thing happened to, I know 50 people, 50 men.
I'm seeing a lot of things coming out. People are starting to speak out against mainstream media and saying
they're hiding it. They're hiding all this.
Groomed to do certain things and get more kids involved, and
so why? This is the big one, guys. And I urge you. Look, I'm a well-educated guy, teacher. Yeah. Why is Japan? All half that, you can Google it. I used to walk around there. What's wrong with these people? All these people are wearing masks. And so would you if you don't want to be poisoned or scopolamina thrown in your face. So you zone out for like 24 hours. Don't know your elbow from you zone out. You're still awake and you're still functioning like a robot. But you don't know, and this is what people do. They take people to ATMs and make them withdraw their money. It's a terrible thing. I tell you, it's a terrible thing. I thought I was stressed out there in Japan a little bit because I was working intense hours and whatever. And then when I stood back and then researched, and now I understand it. Vice TV, they've got some good documentaries. There's one there. The guy went to Colombia, and there's a guy there who took it. You see how he behaves. Like a zombie, man. Like a zombie. And he did it for like an experiment, yeah? But I'm putting it out here, especially the Japanese police, because you didn't do anything when I was there. But this guy, how can you let guys in that country, even foreigners, be agents? Never had children. That would be cruel. That would be cruel. Because I know what's going to happen to your children. Not by me, not by anybody I know. But it's karma. Your children will be taken off you. That's karma, but nothing you can do about that. If you're taking other people's children from their parents, sorry, it's going to happen to you whenever. And for Dion Pretorius, you're not my brother-in-law, you're not my family. My sister may have married you. Even when I visited you there. Even when I visited, you didn't even take the time to get to know me. It was only about money, wasn't it? Remember the phone? The phone, you thought you were doing me a favor. Two sides to every story. What was that phone doing? Were you monitoring me? Yeah, you can use my phone for a week until you get your own phone. £30,000. But I understand, Dion. I understand. Don't worry, I understand. If you need your steroids every day that you've been taking for 20 years, bodybuilding champion, you got muscles, you're a big guy, eh? What you're doing involved with child kidnapping. Is that what big guys do? Is that what big guys do? Are they involved with, yeah? Is that what big guys do? But I know why you did it. Because you're hooked on steroids. You're hooked. There's no way out. And for Luke Sierra, there's no way out for you either. Because in Japan, it's a society, or the organization. The only way out, there's only one way out, yeah? And if the British police are watching and they're interested in this, I'd also do, I may be interested. I don't know what. I approached them several times. They didn't do anything for me, so I don't know. But certainly these organizations that are involved in this, but I'm saying, all these organizations, you think, okay, Japan, one parent, you abide by their laws and whatever. My wife couldn't even look after those children, the state she was in. Yeah. Parents were doing it, but the parents are old now. I don't even know if they're still around. Who's looking after those children? Or are those children going to institutions? And then what happens? 1 million children. I'll put my voice out there for this, because those children might not have a voice. 1 million children. Did I think this was ever going to happen to me? I thought I was going to have a nice, happy family, get married, have kids, normal, go to work, bum, 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 bum. Did I ever think this would happen to me? Not in 1 million years. But what is Japan doing with 1 million children? Maybe with no parents. One parent can't look after them. One parent cannot look after kids. You need a person to provide money. That's where the father comes in, and you need nurturing from the mother. You can't do it at the same time. One person can't do that. If you're either working or you're nurturing. If you can't nurture, then they go off to preschool, to daycare and stuff like that, obviously. But you can't do both. You need a father. I'm all for, sticking it with marriage, because you need two. Single parents, sorry, but you can't do it. I'm sorry. That's where we were born this way, and we're born to live this lifestyle, to be a husband and, be part. That's why we marry. Yeah.
I think for every single parent out there, they know how extremely difficult it is playing mummy and daddy to a child. It's just, it's incredibly. I've been a single mum at one point.
Can't do it. It's tough.
It's incredibly difficult, and as rewarding as it is, it's. I wouldn't go as far as to be as condescending as to say it's not the natural way of things, but it is. It's incredibly hard. That's where that's my standpoint on it. It's incredibly hard to try and provide a mummy and a daddy when you're just a mummy, and it's incredibly hard to provide a mummy and a daddy when you're just a daddy. It's difficult.
But I understand, to my ex-wife's family, I understand why you did it. You had debts, and those debts had to be paid off. But children, come on. You had children to pay off debts? Come on.
It's nuts.
Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you. I could have given you some money, or try to provide or pay off, install, whatever. But no, you took children to pay off your debts. What kind of a person does that? Has children and then hands those children over. There you go. Can't give you the money, but I'll give you these things, kids, We have laws in this country, in the UK, against that. We have laws in this country. They're laws. But I'm sorry, there's a big black hole in Japan because of the law there. Don't get married. I'm advising you, anybody goes to Japan, don't get conned. Don't get conned into marriage, because you end up the same as me. I'm not alone. There's thousands of men and women. Don't get conned to pay off somebody else's family's debt. And don't get enslaved into debt slavery. Because I don't owe anybody anything. I never, I don't owe them anything. I didn't take out a loan. So you expect me to pay back her father's loan? Come on. Would you pay a random stranger's loan back to the bank? Never. And to my family, you know what happened, and I'm telling you the story now. And I think because Dion, you're pretty close to them, right? But how £30,000 goes a long way in South. To get those steroids. It's a lot of money, eh? A lot of money. But this needs to be public, because if anything happens to me, they'll come knocking. It's out there. It's on YouTube. It's in the public record now. And hopefully, by what I've done tonight and told people, it's going to prevent one more, because it's happening now as we speak. Not only in Japan, all countries around the world. This has got to stop, guys. This has got to stop. This has got to stop for these children. It's got to stop. I would be, now looking back on it, I'm really, in hindsight, never should have had a family, never should have got married, never should have had children. too much of a chance. Certainly not in another country. Of course, in the UK, we have laws, family, but in Japan, unfortunately, there's predators and people, agents that find this as a source of income to take advantage of your laws, Japan. People are taking advantage of your laws. You're not protecting your people. Even your own children, you're not protecting them. Why is the need for this? And if anybody's watching this, I'm sorry I don't want to upset anybody.
Right.
I don't want, like I said, I made a disclaimer. I don't want to upset anybody. If you don't want to view this, switch off from the start as well. Just switch it off.
There's a viewer discretion advised.
Yeah, there was from the beginning.
Of this.
I made a viewer discretion, so I'm fully covered with this, and it's fair use as well. I want to make that clear. Disclaimer was given, and it's under fair use. So anything I say from this is coming from me only. Yeah. So if you don't want to listen to this, if you want to turn away, it's fine. Turn off. But this needs to be out there in the public. English in other countries. You think you're going there to work, have a good time, make a little bit of money, go a bit traveling. These countries, these organizations don't see you like that. They see you as a means of profit. If you work there, you profit. You have to make money for that company. Profit only over everything. Japan is profit over everything. Japan is obsessed with money to the point that all the other principles go out the window. So for profit. These organizations, so if you work there, they do it for money. Yeah, they'll use you. And unbeknownst to you, somebody behind your back, because you're a foreigner, naive of the Japanese law, even if you're there right now and you're listening to this, they may be arranging your marriage for you. Because my marriage was completely arranged, unbeknownst to me. But after many years of research, so somebody arranged marriage to me behind my back. Somebody took money for this. I know Dion Pretorius, he took £30,000 to buy steroids. Eh? Luke Sierra, getting a nice wage for doing this every month, all day. Yeah? How are you making your money when you're just in the gym every day? Don't have a job, do you? Don't have a job. But what is your job? Is it to procure children? I want to say that name again. Luke Sierra, Searra, South African citizen in Japan. Japanese police, please check this guy into. Any countries that are willing to let this guy into your country, you better check this guy out. Any airline that accepts this guy on board and other people that may be joining him, nefarious activities, yeah, and getting other people to do things for them, getting other people on flights. You think you're going for a little holiday somewhere? Yeah. So it's all out there. The secrets now. A few of the things. A public service announcement. Be very careful when you travel. And to the people who are contemplating going to work in Japan, please do your research. Please check it out. And certainly, don't get married there. Don't get married there. You don't have as a foreigner, you don't have a leg to stand on first. If you're married, it's even worse. You don't have a leg to stand. You know, there's people in Japan who are stranded there. They don't have any family to help them out, and they're stranded. Thailand too. They're stranded. They're stranded there, living on the street. Yeah, maybe some. But they're actually stranded there. They can't do anything. They don't have family to help them out, whatever. Yeah, they're stranded. And there are many foreigners there who are taking advantage of the Japanese people also. There are many foreigners there who have skipped their country because Japan doesn't have a, what's that treaty called where they send criminals back?
I was just going to say something real quick, not more so to do with your actual family situation. But if anyone has any questions to do with anything that Dave's been talking about,
I'll give you some advice.
Please throw it into the chat room.
Okay, we're going to cut this off in about 5-10 minutes. So this is a public service announcement, and to the people contemplating going there to work, please do your research. Think twice about going there. Even when you're there, things might be being arranged behind your back that you don't know about, and you think you're just getting into it. But the women that may come up to you and think, oh, you're gaijin, kawaii ne. Arranging marriages to pay off their family's debt. And it's, look, I'm here in England now, but it's my children that are stuck there.
Yeah.
They don't have a voice. Yeah? And what happens to my ex-wife? Because I would not, the British government, the Japanese government haven't given me not one iota, not one message of how my children are doing there. My wife, ex-wife, or their family, not one message. What are these? What kind of people does that?
Nuts.
So be careful, because they're using scopolamine in your drink. Boom. What are they doing when you're out cold?
The question. That is the question.
Yep. And so anybody, and then again, I want to give a word of warning. Anybody who's going there with a family to the Rugby World Cup next year, I'm a rugby fan, so, but if you're taking kids there, be very careful. And in 2020, the Olympic Games is in Tokyo. I'm sorry to the Olympic Committee, but I just have to put this out there, because those, anybody who has family, i.e., children, and take them to Japan to visit, they might be thinking they're going to them, and some people might have a great time. But that wasn't my experience. My children have been put into jeopardy. I was put into jeopardy just by being in Japan, just by going there.